It's Tuesday.
Tuesday, we're
We're
talking.
talking on Tuesday.
Woo!
Woohoo! Yeah, great. We did it.
We pressed the record button. We did the thing. Proud of us.
Yeah, we just need a little like lead into it. Like this is our like ambly getting warmed up, and now we're gonna come up with something.
I'm curious how your workshop registrations are going.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. They are I have people signed up.
Congratulations!
Let's just start with that before I'm like, well, no, I have some people signed up and I'm gonna be celebratory of that because like I've never done this before and I really didn't know how it's gonna go. I feel like, putting this out into the world, I'm excited about it. I see such possibility in like where I want to go from here and everything. Um, I, I put that out. And I got past a sticking point with you when we didn't record a couple weeks ago. And we had this like support call where I got so much clearer about what I needed in order to push this forward and like actually put it out there and, start to take steps into the unknown and everything. And I have seemingly like manifested the support that I needed to make this happen. So it's been really cool to say I want to do this and then somehow I'm getting all of these just people coming into my life, these conversations or these resources that it's like, oh, here's this thing and this could make this totally possible. And I'm just kind of saying yes to everything that is aligned with this goal of putting this out there. And it's made it so much more freeing too. Oh, like all of this, like marketing is not my thing, and like it's part of why it's sometimes hard to do this, because I'm just like, what am I doing? But I think that having the practice in this and talking to some of the people that I've talked to, I've like posted about this 3 or 4 times
I've seen
now.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even today, like I posted something today, even right before I got on our call. And I think that that's still shocking me that I'm allowing it to be easier. I will not say easy, but to just say, you know what, I'm going to put it out there and people need to hear about it several times before they say yes, or maybe I could try in a different way and actually coming at it from more of an experiment of how does this work? You people put stuff out there that is like so mundane and they get like a bajillion likes and everybody's sharing it and following it. And then I put something out that's like same vein and it's like crickets. And it's all that stupid algorithm stuff.
That's
But
exactly what I was just thinking.
I know, and I don't get it. I don't understand all of that because that's not my field. And so part of this is it's the experiment as far as like getting there. And I feel so much more invested in the product essentially, like the workshop itself. Like I have found a topic that I'm interested in and that I like and that I feel good sharing and promoting and everything too. So yeah, long answer as to how it's going, but I feel like I'm getting so much around it. So
Awesome.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How's your book
Good.
coming?
Look, um, that is rude of you to ask in this public forum. Um, it's coming. It is, this is my growth edge. I'm very aware that this is my growth edge. This is the first structured thing that I had scheduled today. I knew that I wanted to do a workout, but there's like a lot of hours before 1:30 p.m. Eastern time to do a workout, and then also just like still have time and space. And it's very much one of those things where I'm like, should use some of this time to work on the book. All right, I will. I will. After I make a smoothie and clean up the dishes that are in the kitchen, and I'm trying to like I can't what else did I even do this morning? Like what did I do? Soaked some quinoa. Um I unpacked some things from being at my sister's house for a week and like tidied up a little bit. Which that was it. So I did get a decent amount of work done on the book last week because I was at my sister's house. And so there was no experience of like looking around and being like, oh, like my husband's gonna get really annoyed if I don't do these dishes. I really want to tidy up the living room so that my stuff isn't everywhere. And my husband was just like, I was at my sister's house. I don't know. It's not my house. I don't have obligations here. So it's just a continual conversation that I'm in with my coach where we're reinventing my relationship to showing up and consistency and saying like sitting down to do the things that I don't want to do because I want the result of what it is. So, you know, I have fallen behind where I wanted to be with the book. And when I have two more meetings this afternoon, and um, I have already given myself the little kick in the butt that like, okay, like at least an hour. You got to spend at least an hour on this, and then you've got plenty of time tomorrow.
Oh, Allie, I love you.
I don't like that face.
Well, just like asking you about it, and you wrote last week, and you're doing this, and like you're up to just such big stuff, and you are talking about it so shamefully, and like I've kicked myself in the butt, and I reinvent all the time, and have to get back on the horse, right? All of this stuff that it's like. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. You're learning about your process and you're so brilliant and like you're so clear about like, oh, I got stopped again and what's going on? It's like, what if there was nothing wrong with you and the way you write?
My Our publisher would probably have some thoughts about that with as many deadlines as we've committed to and then missed. Is my
Uh-huh.
first thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What had you commit to the deadlines?
I keep genuinely thinking like, yeah, I can yes. It we're like home stretch. I've got time this week. We're gonna knock it out. Spoiler alert, we do not knock it out.
What's what's the difference? Can I dig in for a second?
Sure.
What's the difference between who you are when you commit to it and are like, yes, I can do this, and who you are when you are actually doing the writing?
Um, I think the biggest uh obstacle, like the biggest shift that comes up is that it's simple. Let me just like literally I just have to sit down and like look at a sentence and be like, okay, this sentence doesn't sound quite right. I have to rewrite this sentence so that it sounds better. And I have a really good ear for writing and like what's going to sound good. And
Mhm.
so it's simple, but it is a little difficult. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, especially the chapter that I'm on right now, there is like so much. The way that I wrote it incorporates a bunch of information from um, other resources, like people we know and other researchers in the hospitality space. And my business partner and I decided to take like have like a resources section at the end of the book, like give them credit at the end of the book, but to not like specifically say in the chapter itself, like, hey, like this is some information that we got from this person and that person, um, in order to hopefully, keep our readers engaged in the book without being like, oh, well, let me go off somewhere. It's like go off somewhere at the end of the book, but get through the entire book before you start thinking about going elsewhere. So that means that I have to do a pretty heavy rewrite on all of
Mhm.
this stuff. And so there's just like oh gosh, like I have had the experience of just like sitting and staring at a paragraph for like 20 minutes, being like, I don't know how to rewrite
Mhm.
this. And eventually I always do. I always come back around and I always like figure it out. But
Mhm.
it like always takes longer than I think it's going to. It's always um like my business partner and I had a little bit of a miscommunication with like how much work we were going to put in before we send it to the publisher. So I'll think that we're finished with the section and then he'll go back and make changes and then I have to make the changes sound good, and because that's my role. Um,
Mhm.
so so yeah, so there is this kind of like rose colored glasses of like I have all this time and if I just sit down, all I have like I'm that's what it is. I had to talk through. I'm when I make the declaration about how I'm going to use my time, I am present to the simplicity.
Yeah.
Really, all I have to do, sit down with my laptop, hold the document up on my screen, and go sentence by sentence. It is not a complicated thing. It is a simple
Mhm.
thing. And then as soon as it's time to actually sit down, I get present to the fact that sometimes it's difficult. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the hard thing.
Yeah, and I mean, because it rarely is simple, right? There's always the quinoa that needs to soak and the dishes and the right, all of the other stuff that is there.
It is
And
simple. I will say it's simple, but it's not easy. And so
no,
can quinoa, very easy. I know how to squeeze a lemon into a
easier.
bowl.
Yeah, easier, easier. Yeah, I mean, life gets in the way of the simplicity of it. And but I just so present to how much you are like learning about your process and about yourself in this experience of committing to a deadline and then not making that deadline and but continuing to commit anyway, right? And going through this. Um, for me, I as I hear it, I'm like, and this is why I'm not writing a book because I don't know that I could be with that and keep going. And that's something that I'm working on now is like going past where I typically stop because
Mm,
I didn't get an A, right? And it's like, oh, I'm in a learning process and and that, I think sometimes that's well, I think it is. It's tough for me and we've talked about how we're sometimes similar in these veins, but it's like I liked and like to do things that I'm good at and that I can be like that I can deliver and I know it. And so being like getting through something that's like it didn't meet that deadline and it doesn't mean that I'm not good at this or that I can't do this or that I don't want to do this anymore. It's just okay, reconfigure, redeclare, and look at like what you learned and apply it immediately and know that it's not going to be perfect. And then you're
yeah.
going to have to continue to to look at it and evaluate where you are from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that because it just helped me distinguish something else, which is that like part of the reason that just logistically I don't have a strong muscle around this, like just sit down and do the thing, is that I trained my brain very early on in my life to put things off until the very, very, very last minute,
Hmm.
especially as a student. Um, Actually, I'm going to back up. So, what you said that had me connect to this is I'm actually very proud of myself because pre transformation, like my old way of being, my old automatic reaction would have been shit, I have a deadline. I promised these people. And I would be like staying up until midnight, sleeping for 4 or 5 hours, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, burning the candle at both ends, like really like making my life miserable in order to meet this deadline, which, so that's what I thought of when you were saying that. And immediately I was like, yeah, which was college for me. Like, and high school. Honestly, it started in middle school, like seventh and eighth grade. I stopped doing my homework the night before it was due and I started doing it in homeroom. And I'm like one of those, like, kind of stereotypical gifted kid cases where it's like I never learned good study skills because I would, shit out a paper 20 minutes before it was due and I would get an A and I'd be like, well, what reason do I have to give this more of my effort and energy if you're just going to tell me that I'm excellent and brilliant by waiting until the last minute, panicking,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
coming up with something and then moving on. So that is my brain's pathways. And so it truly is breakthrough action for me to be like, I do know I have a deadline. And you know what? I just want to enjoy my life instead of kill myself in order to meet that deadline. And of course, there is like a next level to this where I honor my deadlines and I'm in integrity with my deadlines and I create my life in such a way that I get to have both. I get to like enjoy my life and meet deadlines, enjoy my life and sit down where it's not like multiple days in a row of I didn't write at all because I was enjoying my life. Well, now I'm not enjoying my life because I've got this like book hanging over my head. I'm stressed out about it. I want it to be done. So it's definitely a both and. There's definitely like a next level to it, but I do appreciate you helping me see that like actually being able to miss the deadlines and say like, yeah, was not aligned with how I needed this week to go to just burn the candle at both ends in order to get this done. And still super committed to it. I will finish it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. And I resonated when you were talking about who you were in high school and college. And it's like, no surprise. Me too. Me too. And I think a lot of times, when I'm working with clients that are, high achiever A students, but not necessarily with the best study habits in this way, because things come naturally. And why effort if you don't need to, right? So like this is how I learned. I noticed that, procrastination's always the thing that's like, let's not do that. Let's not burn the candle at both ends. But when you were saying it, I thought, this is also why I don't have much patience for myself being in a learning process. Because if it does not come easy to me and somebody does not go, wow, you're brilliant from the thing that you just woke up and wrote down, then I'm like, I suck because it didn't come naturally to me and I have to work at it. And I don't know that I can. And that's weird to say because it's like I do know that I could, but I don't have a lot of experience at like really foundationally, I think, at watching myself earn it in that way or really like start from I don't get it. Because like I did stuff obviously in school that like I got better at, but I don't think I watched myself in this way of like a short period. It's like, wow, I started dancing when I was 4, but the measure of success was, just year after year. It was not like I was 4 and comparing myself to an 18-year-old. I was never doing that, but so that was incremental and learning in school and everything like that. But I don't, I feel like my measure of success was always like, oh, I pulled that brilliant paper out of my butt, you know, like in 3 hours. Can you believe I wrote this in 3 hours and I got an A? And like,
Still got an A.
right, rather than, oh my gosh, I had to really work for that. And I started not knowing. And now I have more information. And it's okay if I don't get an A or get accolades, and then I can still be with this. And I think, that's still something that I struggle with, that I want to do something that I am not good at. And um I get scared to put in the effort because I don't have a guarantee that I can learn to do this.
Yeah. Well, and it's a double whammy, right? Because it's not only that it's there is effort that you have to put in on the thing itself. It's like, like I am not a great drawer. So if I wanted to become good at drawing, I'd have to show up at the paper day after day after day after day and practice, 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 practice. So there's the efforting that is that showing up. But then because we don't have a muscle around showing up when we're not going to be instantly good at something, there's also the effort that it takes to build those practices and to build up that muscle.
Hmm.
So the act of showing up for anything is an efforting practice in and of itself. And I should say that, like, we're using this word efforting. A huge part of the work of coaching is reinventing our relationship to things. So, like, hey, sounds like efforting makes it really suck for you. How else can we look at this? And I don't like to deny the reality of how things are showing up. So yeah, it's already efforting just to show up for anything, and then you have to effort once you've shown up.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it is is finding the what for and why would you, essentially. You mentioned drawing, and I'm like, oh, yes, I know. I suck at it. And I would love to, there is something of like, I would just love to be able to like sketch or something. And out my dining room window, which you've seen my dining room window, right? Like all the trees. There is this oak out there that I am obsessed with. And I have sat in my dining room and looked at this freaking tree for like every day. I look at this tree and I'm like, I want to paint you. I don't paint. I mean, painting would be worse than drawing for me because, like, I'm like, I don't mix colors well. I don't really, like, I understand the most basic level of how paint works, but like not to paint this tree that I want to paint. And I gotta do it well if I'm gonna do it, you know. Like I'm gonna really like get all of it. And it's like, am I gonna ever start this project? Probably not. Probably not. But but I kind of feel it a little bit. I'm like, my what for is that I want to paint this tree. I don't know why, but like I might start painting so that I can do that. But oh my God, it's going to be, I already know. I'm like, I'm going to be frustrated from this current mindset because it is not my first iteration of this is not going to be what I want it to be. And I mean, this is how artists go mad too, I'm sure, because it's like,
Yeah.
God, can't capture its essence.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So, so I'm not going to go there.
well, resource recommendation for anybody
Mhm.
listening: two books that I have found insanely helpful around this topic. One of them is the classic The Artist's Way. Not, I mean, it is
Mhm.
a book, but it's more than just a book. It's a 12-week program, super transformational. If you haven't checked it out, give it a try. Then there's also Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
specifically about writing, but it can apply to a lot of things where you just have to show up bird by bird. How are you going to do this bird by bird? I won't spoil the story, mostly because I got to hop to another call, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
thanks for talking on Tuesday with me.
Always.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week.